bringing women into the economy, empowering them is good, not only for their families, but for their countries and for the world.
We need to see women at the center and to give hope to the next generation.
If you want to raise a society and a community, you have to empower the women.
Today, we are devoting this episode to She, an interview series on gender equality.
就是想让这些花儿真的自己成为美丽的花儿。
This is not good.
And now we want you to carry over, so we hand over the bonnet to you.
Just want to tell you that everything is possible. Just be yourself, find the light in your heart. We can do it.
Don't limit yourself. There will be endless possibilities.
And I'm extremely pleased that China is taking the lead once again for this such an important matter.
The media plays a vital role in advancing the rights of women and girls.
I really dream of working in those kind of fields, so I'm really excited to see their answers.
We're strong, we're beautiful, we can do everything.
Hello and welcome to World Insight. I'm Tian Wei and welcome to our special program, She. 30 years ago, the fourth World Conference on Women was held in Beijing, adopting the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, which is considered a milestone for global gender equality. 30 years later, China has just hosted the Global Leaders Meeting on Women. At this significant moment, She brings together women leaders and outstanding personalities from diverse fields to share their stories and explore how women are in the driver's seats and are driving real change in our world today. And let's welcome our guests. Yang, China's first Winter Olympics gold medalist. Irina Bokova, former Director General of UNESCO. Gertrude Mongella, Secretary General of the 4th UN World Conference on Women in Beijing. Tan Yuanyuan, renowned international ballerina. Let me start by asking Ms. Mongella. 1995, not far from where we are, 50,000 women from all over the world gather for the 4th International Women's Conference. Wow. You are being termed by others as the mother of that conference. As Secretary General, how did you make that happen?
First of all, I was younger than I am today.
Now you are young at heart, don't we agree?
Yes.
So I still had a lot of energy. But most of all, I had the passion to work, and I thought it was a privilege for me to serve the women of the world. And the other thing is, I'm a woman. So for me, I was doing what was right for a woman. And then I managed because there were so many people who had passion, energy, skills, talents who supported the World Conference on Women. And the United Nations, an organization which has worked for the advancement of women since 1945, after the United Nations, 46, after the United Nations was formed, was really keen to make this conference a success. The best thing was the host country, that is China. Its commitment, its sacrifices, and the organizational skills they had managed the 50,000 guests who entered China and Beijing at that time.
Wow.
So, I'll never forget the cooperation and support which was given to me by government people, by all the women, all China Women Federation, and the young people of China at that time. I think now they are adults. They all worked to make that conference a success. So I want to say, really, this was not one person's effort. It was an effort of so many people, men and women. It was working together with the governments in the world, and I think that is what made it a success.
See, this is women, typical women. Very gratitude, always offering our gratitude, but always be able to bring everybody together. If I could be a little bit personal, what about for you? I mean, right on the eve of the conference 30 years ago, when you still have so many details not settled down, what was going through your mind on the eve
I was praying a lot. Just praying, and telling my God that please support me. This is too much for me. And I was really appealing to everybody to give the support I needed, because there were still some paragraphs to be negotiated. And finally, the last day, all the paragraphs had been adopted. That's why we have the declaration and the platform for action.
That's amazing. Ms. Bokova, 30 years ago, where were you? And what was that for you, this conference?
I was also a participant in this conference. I was a deputy chair of the delegation of my country, of Bulgaria. And I am a testimony, I would like to say, to the incredible leadership of Madam Ongela. Her passion, her capacity to negotiate, to get together everybody around, is very much part of the success of this conference. And of course, it was a huge, incredible event. And of course, China was leading together with the United Nations. And I still remember the emotion when we adopted the Beijing Declaration and the Plan of Action, because I believe until this moment, this is the most progressive document that the United Nations have ever adopted in the area of women's empowerment and rights.
Indeed.
And just two issues I would like here to mention, because it was really the opening of a new effort, of a new ambition to achieve women's equality and empowerment. It is for the first time that the girl child was put into the focus of all the efforts. Until that time, it was not that much in terms of why it is important, of education, of health, of adolescence, and all the others. And the second, which still is very relevant, it is about women, peace, and security. And this opened the door for many other action within the United Nations and wider on this important topic.
including on many of the works you have been working on over the past decades. I know when you were serving as the Director General of UNESCO, you have been putting women and girls' education front and center on your agenda and insisting on it.
Well, this is critical. This is the foundation, and I'm grateful that Mrs. Monguela came to UNESCO exactly 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I invited her to celebrate
this is a
Beijing
reunion.
plus 20. So now we are together celebrating Beijing plus 30, you remember?
Indeed.
And by the way, in 2015 exactly, we established the China UNESCO Prize for Girls Education, which was preceded by appointing, I was very privileged, that Professor Peng Liyuan, the First Lady of China, accepted my invitation to become a special envoy for girls and women's education. So there were a lot of positive momentum and development since then.
Inspiring figures to be on the road.
Right.
Indeed. Thank you so much for both of your work. Earlier, we heard the policymakers who have been trying to bring the right platform and the policy framework to bring women and also bring the future of women together. What about for the two of you? 30 years ago, where were you?
For athletes, it's Olympics is always the dream. It's when you start little. I remember it was in the early 80s. Well, first time on the ice, my coach was telling other people, say, look at the girl, she has a very strong ankle, which is, for my sport, you need to have a strong ankle, then you can be able to stand on the ice. So I was encouraged by, that's the one sentence. But later on, my family, my mom was not very supportive because at that time, sports cannot be a career. It's also very, very risky because very, very small number of people can get medals. But I like sports, so at that age, 8, 9, you don't understand the gender. It's just you like what you like.
Yeah, exactly.
So I remember I was I want a sports, I want to do ice sports. Then my mom say, okay, if you do ice sports, your study may also, your schoolwork may also get not good schoolwork. At that time in China, we still think if you're a sportsman, your mental not very smart somehow. So then I negotiated with my mom, and my mom say, okay, if you can keep up with this schoolwork, you can stay in the sports.
Yeah.
So I promised my mom I have to stay in the top 5 in my class. Otherwise, I have to quit my skating. So however, until middle school, I always top 5 in my class.
Congratulations. And then you move on to the national team.
Yes.
But it was great competition.
Yes.
Tremendous competition. Leave that part a bit later. Explore that part a bit later. But what about for Yuan? I mean, all of us admire you on the stage, bringing the best dances coming from when you were at San Francisco and now when you're in China. Tell us 30 years ago, where were you?
30 years ago, actually, I just received an offer from San Francisco Ballet as the youngest soloist and the first female soloist in the company. So I was very
And the first Chinese.
Happy. Yeah, first Chinese. Because I don't speak English at that time, so I can feel it from their eyes, their glance, and they doubt that I can make the first appearance with the company. But I made that happen because I don't let the fear to misleading me or make me nervous. But I was nervous, but I make sure that I can practice 100 hours, and I have 1 minute on stage is perfect.
Oh my God.
If you can calculate how many hours I put behind the scene, so I can perform Swan Lake, like 2 hours ballet on stage.
Can you still remember the first ballet you put on together with the team?
That was, if it's full length, it's Swan Lake. That's one of my favorites, still, full length ballet.
any specific moment out of that drama, that dance drama, you see yourself still today?
Oh, when I finish the second act, because all the weight is on left leg and left hamstring. So my left leg is already giving up, but I still, on third act, I have to finish the 32 4/8, the 32 turns.
Right.
So how you can imagine, I have nothing left there, but it's only mind drives me to finish the 32 4/8.
Mrs. Volkova, when you were performing your role as the Director General of the UNESCO, you tried to put women and girls' education front and center. At that time, as Mrs. Mangala suggested, it was very difficult. How did you manage to make sure it can happen?
Just one word to support what Mrs. Mangala so wonderfully put. I believe that women's empowerment, equality of women, is not just for us, for women. It is a societal. It is not a zero-sum game. We gain, men lose. Not at all. We should stop looking at it this way. It's a win-win situation. And it all starts with education. And as you rightfully said, this was not a priority. This was not something that governments, every government or others, thought that it's important to give the equal education to girls, primary, secondary, to support them further in sports, in art education, to support them in STEM education, in sciences also, now new technologies. So it was really important to put this very strongly, and we did, with the Agenda for Sustainable Development 2030, where girls' education is one of the foundations of the future sustainability. And also, because you did mention, I think we needed some kind of a critical mass of women leaders. I think having role models is important. And I would say that probably one of the most kind of gratifying experience when I had, because I visited many countries, and whenever I went, Africa, Asia, Latin America, I wanted to go to schools. And I wanted to talk also to girls to give them confidence. And when I was asking them, what do you want to become one day? They were saying, of course, an engineer, a teacher, a medical doctor. And I remember they were saying, we want to become like you, Director General of UNESCO. I said, that's wonderful.
That's wonderful.
That's wonderful. This is probably one of the best, I would say, compliments or recognition that I have received. It is important to inspire them.
Wow, beautiful story. I really, really appreciate that you're sharing it with us today. Yang, what about you? You've been very humble because you were winning a lot of gold medals for China at different sports events, both at the Olympics and at different championships. But before you retire from your sportsmanship, you actually only won the bronze medal.
I retired twice. After I won my first gold in Salt Lake City, I couldn't find my next goal because you won everything. So I went to University Tsinghua for 1 year. Then next year I switched to the US for another year. And later on, the team came to me asking me to compete again because at that time, the young skaters in my team was not strong enough. So all my friends, family say, "Oh, Yang, don't come back. You know, we want you always winning. So if you come back, you may lose. Yeah, a big chance to lose. So I don't understand lose. You know, for me, I already won. But still, at that time, I feel so honored when the team asks you, because it's not only about winning or lose. It's about the honor. I participated 3 Olympics. But first 2, because my competition is happen next day of the opening ceremony, so I always miss the Olympic opening ceremony. But because it's going to be my last Olympics, so I asked myself, I have to go to the Olympic opening ceremony. then I was thinking about, do I have chance to hold the flag for my country?
He's a flag bearer.
Yeah. But then I realized before always men. But at that time actually we have in the period of in China in the sports history result. So I said, okay, I got the first goal for China. I may have the chance to be the flag bearer. So I went to the delegation, the head of a delegation. I asked for the opportunity. And I remember the head of the delegation say, oh, you know, the flag is really heavy. Maybe, you know, you want to think about it. I said, no, I'm strong enough. I can hold it.
And you did. And you did. And you did. Thank you very much.
Yeah. But I remember after I learned there's no female before, the first thing in my mind is why? Why? So I knew this. It's a part of. That was why is important. You start from a why, then you find a solution, which is your.
Why not?
Why not?
And why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
And I would just say, why not? Also, to like Yuan Yuan share, because she has been doing so many tremendous transformation in her career of art and love as well. Yuan Yuan, one of the things I find is from the principal ballerina of the San Francisco Ballet to the one winning a whole string of prizes and awards worldwide, to now become the creative director of one of China's most renowned ballet groups. A grand transformation. How did you make that every step of the way, especially the last one?
So actually, it's kind of like I retired from stage 2024 in February.
But that was a very long career, by the way. How many years?
Almost 30 years, 29 years with San Francisco Ballet.
29 years as the principal ballerina. Wow. We know people who did it for 5 years, 10 years, but 21 years. How much this woman has gone through. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have to say I still miss the stage. That's always in my heart. But I just realized actually to be a dancer on stage is the most fabulous moment.
You know, for the latest dance drama you were working on, which is called a White Snake.
Yes.
It is based on a legendary Chinese story about two women, mainly how they are seeking their life, liberty, and find their own freedom in their life. But you try to bring it with the latest twists and turns of stories. This has been quite a critical moment for you to communicate with your peers how to do it.
So it's very interesting story. We just had the opportunity to perform in the David Koch Theater in Lincoln Center, New York City, about 2 months ago. So the story is the Lady of White Snake. So why we say Lady of White Snake is a lot of difference from the original story of Bai She Zhuan. So that's the story about awakening of woman, like who she really is, to find herself like deep down. But the green snake actually is herself, like deep down who she is. But she got lost in the society and forgot who she is. Then through the time that she always have this very weird feelings about questioning herself. Then finally, through the road, she find herself, finding her inner being, find the Xiaoqing, the green snake. Yeah, that was made in 2022. 2022 November, we had a premiere in the Grand Theater. Yang Yang was there. So the screenwriter, the director, and the artistic director, which is me, and also dancers at the same time, and the producer, 4 women, made this happen.
So you know the story, how it is not a competition, but a celebration.
Yeah, we have different opinion. We fought, but at the end of the day, we just want to make things work. Then everything together, that's the show.
Bringing women into the economy, empowering them is good, not only for their families, but for their countries and for the world.
We need to see women at the center and to give hope to the next generation.
If you want to raise a society and a community, you have to empower the women.
Today, we are devoting this episode to She, an interview series on gender equality.
就是想让这些花儿真的自己成为美丽的花儿。
Mrs. Volkova keep on nodding her head about this project and many other arts projects, especially now how in a very different world, I would say, Mrs. Volkova, compared to when you were serving as Director General of UNESCO. The world has changed so much. There's a lot of fragmentation. What is the force of women that can really bring the positive energy to what we are going through right now?
That is true that the world is undergoing a difficult, I would say, phase. Geopolitics, competition, fragmentation, a lot of drive for separate solving the problem separately, but I believe it's obvious. I'm still very much involved with the different activities within the United Nations. It is obvious that the problems, the challenges are global. And also, from that point of view, I think that women are not sufficiently involved into the finding the solutions of some of these problems. And this is where the celebration of Beijing Plus 30, actually the whole year of the United Nations, has been under this topic, the next, what next after Beijing Plus 30. Now, I believe that leadership matters. I wish to see the next Secretary General of the United Nations a woman, because if we want to find some inclusion, we want to find different approaches to some of these issues. I don't say that we are better, but we are different. We bring another approach to it. This will bring also a lot of advantage to the United Nations to show that it is inclusive. It includes the other half of humanity, the other half of population, with all the talents, with all the approaches that they have. So from that point of view, I think that the women's agenda is very much supporting multilateralism. Because when multilateralism is fragile, women's agenda is also fragile. Well, multilateralism is strong, then women's agenda also grows. They're very much linked together. And my last, I would say, observation or idea, China has been a strong supporter of multilateralism, probably the strongest nowadays. And there are a number of important initiatives that President Xi Jinping proposed, the Global Development Initiative, the Global Civilization Initiative, very much resonates with my experience at UNESCO, and now the Global Governance Initiative. I think we should take very much, by the way, welcomed and supported by Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who said, this is what we need nowadays, indeed, in the world, against the background of all the problems, challenges, and risks that we have.
Beautifully said. But of course, this needs participation from both sides of the sky. And that is very crucial. How about women leadership, Mrs. Mangala?
When I was preparing Beijing, I was thinking, how do you handle the marginalization of women in a single-handedness? This was just a concern of China or Africa or Europe. The mimic you get when you talk, those days when you talk about women, they almost want to throw stones at you. They think you are irrelevant. Talking about women, that we are not in a meeting. We are not talking women's issues. We talk serious issues. So before 30 years, people didn't think women is a serious issue. So this is what we came out with. But the other thing before I answer your question is I have been reminded of how women should say, why not? Why not? Because I've said it and I've done it.
Why not?
Why not? I've been a member of parliament of 3 parliaments. I've been a member of my national parliament. I've been a member of the regional East African Parliament. And I've been the first president of the Pan-African Parliament. Because every time I would say, why not? And put in my request for election. And I got elected. So I'm saying to the young people, you must go with this sentence, why not?
Do you know how to say it? Together. Why not? 我们一起说.
Why not?
Why not? Why not?
Why shouldn't I be this? Why shouldn't I do that? Why shouldn't I do that? I think that's the key word you should take off. Why not? Why not? Always say, why not to yourself? Why not be the first in my coursework? Why not? Why not be what I want to be? But I want to say, coming to the implementation of the Beijing platform, we have managed. For example, in Africa, we've seen women presidents coming up in these 30 years. Ellen Johnson of Liberia, Joyce Banda of Malawi, Suluhu Hassan of Tanzania, Nentumbo of Namibia. Very strong women. They are managing their countries. And you know, Africa, with all the problems, economic problems, the conflict problems, and so on, but these women are strong. And we are seeing them as role models.
Ms. Yang also served as the deputy of WADA, which is an important organization related to the Olympic movements. So what about your generation of women leaders?
Again, I feel like I'm very lucky because I didn't fight for the opportunity. This time I didn't ask why not. I was appointed because the previous women leader fight for us. So, for example, in the International Olympic Committee, I was a member for 8 years. In our charter, they must have 20% women. My organization, the World Anti-Doping Agency, also they have a number of this kind of regulation. You must have percentage. So I didn't fight for that, but definitely you need to be good example and
you need to demonstrate your leadership.
Yes,
wherever you are.
Yes. But what I learned through this experience is that we have unique skills other than gender differences. We more collaborate. We compare to my other colleagues a little bit more conflict way to working. I don't know how to explain my last 6 years result. But from my last election, which is happened in May,
you were re-elected.
I re-elected for my 3rd term with 100% votes.
Oh, wow!
For me, it's nothing about power. It's all about responsibility.
Indeed. And Yuan Yuan, how to bring your own culture from China onto the world stage, and how to connect. As Mrs. Bokowa just said, the fragmentation is such a serious problem in our world today. So how is that working for you to demonstrate your leadership in that regard?
When I was young, I was being told my dad didn't want me to dance. But my mom had this dream to become a dancer. So she encouraged me. And she became my mentor to make like decisions, work hard, and try harder. So for me, this is like one leadership that's really important. And also, like, after all these years, I come back to China, and it's about to give back to what I have, to give back, to inspire the young dancers, young generations, let them to try harder. And I told them I want to see other than me. I wanted them to do better than me. And that's also come from mentors like all of you.
Let's open up the floor to our audience. Feel free to raise your hand. Okay, this young lady, who you are and ask your question.
I'm actually a high school student here in Beijing in an international high school, and I want to ask a question to Ms. Bakova. So I'm in a stage in my life where I'm kind of seeing which careers I want to go into and what I want to do with my life. So I want to ask you, when you were a young girl or when you were in school, what kind of drove you to pursue diplomacy or like policy making?
I had a wonderful example. We were speaking about our families, and of course it was my mother, because she was a typical dropout of school after primary school before the war. Then after the war, already married with 2 children, and she dreamt of becoming a scientist. She went to school, evening school, her secondary education. My recollections from those times was, I'm going to primary, secondary, and I'm learning, I'm working with my mother. She's preparing her homework and I'm preparing my homework. She went to the university, she made the PhD, she became a scientist. And I think this was the example that you can do it. If you pursue your dreams, why not? As we say here. If you're persistent, if you believe that you can do it. Now, the other question, which is similar, of course, to this, is that I have always appreciated the diversity in this world. I dreamt of becoming an archaeologist, discovering civilizations. Then I said, no, I'll become a journalist. I will go around the world. I will bring people together. And finally, I became a diplomat, because I think diplomacy is one of the most wonderful jobs if you look at it as building bridges and not of separating, isolating countries one from another. And within this space, of course, I dreamt of multilateral diplomacy, because this is where you can make a change, you can make a difference, you can change the world. And when I was young, I was thinking that I can change the world.
And you are changing the world.
I don't know whether I did it, but I believed into this, that each one of us can change a little bit the world. And that leadership is not just, becoming a high leader, a president or director. You can be a leader in your community, you can be a leader in your area, in your profession, and I think this is wonderful if girls are encouraged also to become leaders at all the different levels.
Right. With role models like all of you sitting on the stage, I'm sure there will be much more potential for all of us. Yes, any other? Final question. Any other?
My name is Linda Mpemo, and my question goes to Madam.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from Renmin University of China.
Yeah, and country-wise?
I'm from Zambia.
From Zambia, I see.
Yes.
Please.
My question goes to Madam Mongela. You talked about the current generation of leaders creating an enabling environment for the generation after them. So how best do you think African leaders can create an enabling environment for youth and actually promote youth inclusivity in leadership, especially also extending it to the global stage? Thank you.
There is a lot to it. The education system is very, very important. We have to look into our curriculum. You should go back to UNESCO and develop the curriculum. We have to develop the curriculum where we groom girls to become leaders, not spectators, not voters, but to train them to be candidates. That's where we get the leadership. Even in terms of professions, it's not enough to only be a doctor. We should have women who lead in the medical field, who show the way, and we go lawyers and so on and so forth. So I think we're using sometimes our own organizations. We have several NGOs around the world now. We should get together to also promote the leadership of women in every aspect.